It was supposed to be a simple birthday celebration, filled with laughter, cake, and wishes, until everything changed. As the candles flickered and the room filled with cheers, an unexpected voice cut through the noise. A billionaire, standing tall and confident, stepped forward with an offer that left everyone speechless. Who wants to marry a billionaire? His words sounded like a joke, but his eyes told a different story. He wasn't looking for love, he was looking for entertainment. The crowd went silent, torn between disbelief and curiosity. Then, one brave soul whispered the word that would alter her life forever, yes. Gasps filled the air. She didn't say it out of greed, but out of desperation, unaware that her choice would lead her into a world where love, pride, and sacrifice would collide. And in that single moment, fate quietly changed its course. The moment she left that mansion, her heart felt heavier than ever. The image of her sister's weak smile haunted her, the girl who always believed in miracles, now lying in a hospital bed, fighting for another breath. The doctors had spoken clearly, without surgery, there was no chance. But where would the money come from? That cruel billionaire's offer echoed in her mind, each word cutting deeper. One yes could change everything. Pride battled love, fear wrestled with hope, and in the quiet of that night, she made her choice. Sometimes, life forces you to surrender not because you're weak, but because someone you love needs your strength more than your ego. So, she walked back into the lion's den, ready to trade her freedom for her sister's life, unaware that this sacrifice would awaken something even money could never buy. Just when the fragile peace between them began to form, chaos came crashing through the door. His ex, dripping with bitterness, arrived uninvited, followed closely by his manipulative mother, both determined to tear her down. Words turned into daggers, accusations flew like arrows, and for a moment, she stood frozen, realizing she was the outsider in their storm. But then something inside her shifted. She spoke up, not for herself, but for him. Her voice trembled yet carried a strength neither of them expected. She defended him when no one else did, revealing the truth behind his pain and silencing the very people who once controlled him. In that moment, she broke his rules, but she also broke through his armor. For the first time, he saw not a stranger, but someone brave enough to stand by him when the whole world turned away. When she entered his mansion, it felt less like a home and more like a kingdom built on loneliness. Every inch of luxury shimmered, yet it all felt hollow, like beauty without warmth. He stood there, cold and composed, listing his rules one by one: speak only when spoken to, do as told, never question his authority. Each word was meant to remind her of her place, but she didn't flinch. Behind his sharp tone, she could sense something deeper, a man protecting his own broken heart. Days turned into a quiet battle of wills. She followed his commands but never lost her dignity, and he began to notice the quiet fire in her eyes. It wasn't defiance, it was grace, the kind that disarmed him without trying. In a world where obedience was expected, she taught him the strength of silent courage. Somewhere between the arguments and silence, something inside him began to change. He started noticing the little things, the way she smiled even after being hurt, the way she spoke kindly to the servants, the way she never once asked for anything in return. Her selflessness began to unravel the bitterness he'd carried for years. The man who once saw love as a transaction now found himself wanting to earn it. And when news came that her sister had recovered, walking and smiling again, he realized that her sacrifice had given him more than a wife, it had given him a reason to believe again. For the first time, he looked at her not as someone who owed him, but as someone he didn't deserve. In her quiet strength, he finally understood that love isn't bought, it's built with kindness, patience, and truth. When she decided to leave, she thought her part in his story was over. Her sister was healed, her promise fulfilled, there was nothing left to keep her there. But as she turned away, he stopped her, his voice breaking for the first time. He had spent years building walls, and now, for the first time, he was ready to tear them down. There would be no more contracts, no more conditions, only a chance to start over, not as strangers, but as two souls who had found each other through pain. The wedding that was once a game became real, born from love rather than pride. In his eyes, she saw not the cold billionaire she once hated, but the man she had unknowingly healed. Love had found its way, not through wealth or power, but through the courage to forgive and begin again.